Hello, welcome to American Baker in Germany. I'm Michelle, and today we are continuing our Baking Basics series with learning how to whip cream. So I'd like to go through with you all of the common mistakes people make, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when you whip cream too long. So let's get started. Alright, I'd like to start off by talking about 10 mistakes that people make when trying to whip cream. And I got these from a blog called chefworks.com, and it talks a lot about whipped cream, and it has a lot of interesting facts about it if you would like to read that. Number one mistake that people make is that they don't chill their cream. If you don't chill your cream, I got this right out of the fridge. It's been in the fridge for the entire time. If you don't chill your cream, then it's possible that it won't whip up at all. And Chef Works says this is probably the number one rookie mistake when making whipped cream. The cream must be cold when you start, or it will not whip correctly. If the cream is too warm, the fat becomes ineffective as a stabilizer and your cream will fall flat. The cream may thicken, but even vigorous whipping will not make it attain lofty heights and a fluffy texture. For the best results, don't just chill your cream, but chill your bowl that you use for whipping as well. Number two is you don't use the right kind of cream. There are all sorts of different kinds of cream. Which one's the best one to use? The best options for heavy cream or heavy whipping cream contain 36% or more butter fat. It will also say, but it has to have at least 30%. This one is 30% fat. So we're on the border here, but it does work. If you're vegan, you can use coconut cream. Number three, you don't add the sweetener at the proper moment. I will include any sort of like whipped cream stabilizers. They sell these here in little packets. So do you add sugar to your cream right when you start mixing? Don't do that. Next time, hold off. Sugar can actually inhibit the cream from thickening, so it's best to allow the cream to gain some thickness and structure before you add any sweetener or flavoring. So whip it first before you continue. Number four, you add the wrong amount of sweetener. The wrong amount of sugar might not ruin your whipping cream, but it might not yield the experience that you're hoping for. Might be too sweet, and we don't want that. Number five, you don't use the proper whisking utensil. If you try to use a wooden spoon to make whipped cream, it will not be as fluffy and light as you would like. You need a tool that gets lots of air into it, like a whisk. Or an electric mixer is absolutely the best. Number six, you don't stabilize your whipped cream in hot weather. It doesn't matter how perfectly a job you did with whipping it. If you don't stabilize it when it's hot, it will melt. It is just plain old physics, people. Number seven, you over whip. I will show you that today. If you whip it to the point where it starts to turn grainy, then you've gone too far and you need to start over. Number eight, you try to make it in a rush. Set aside some time so you can put some attention to it. And if you're trying to do errands in the middle of doing it, then you're going to make mistakes. And number 10, you're eager to use your whipped cream right away. If you put it on top of something that's warm, it will start to melt. Physics, people. If it's not ready for whipped cream, put the whipped cream in the refrigerator and it will keep fine for several hours. So it might be a little bit tricky, but it needs some attention, and I will talk you through it today. So let's turn on the light so we can all see really well. So what I have here is regular whipping cream that I got at this store. This is 30% milk fat, as I've mentioned. And I'm going to, see what happened was we accidentally bought some whipping cream that is not lactose free. And our daughter's lactose intolerant, so she can't even have this. Realizing that after the fact, we just set it aside and haven't used it. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to make it into butter today, because that's what happens when you over whip cream. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you over whip it. And she can have butter because you use such a small amount of butter that it doesn't bother. A whipped cream you tend to have more of, so. So today, also I need to warn you, yeah, it smells okay. Sometimes when you open a thing of whipped cream, even though it's still within the okay by date, you'll have the little chunks in it. That happened to me earlier today as well. See, look at that chunky, yuck. It looks disgusting, but it's mostly because of the high fat content. It sometimes causes pieces to stick together. It's not that big a deal, and in general it is not an indication that it has gone bad. If you need to check, which I would recommend, go ahead and taste it. No, it tastes fine. Because milk products that have gone bad have a very sour taste. If it doesn't taste sour, it's fine. Okay, so this is 200 grams, 300 grams, yeah, of whipping cream. And whipping cream also is notoriously messy because this is a liquid. Look at that, it's liquid. As you whip it, it's just going to fly everywhere. So do be aware of that. I'm trying to keep a little bit of distance from the camera so I don't get it all messy. That's why I use the glass bowl so you can see what I'm doing inside. So I'm going to start it out by whipping it. I'm going to show you what it looks like at different stages. I'll pause there and describe them all. Alright, this isn't what I would consider a stage, but you can see this is not yet finished. This is very, very liquidy still. It has to have some air in it, but we're not done yet. Alright, this is what I would consider a semi-whipped stage. You can see some marks of the beaters when you run it through, but it's not actually holding its shape. When you pick it up, it just falls right down again. So I would call that semi-whipped or just starting to thicken. At this point, you could add your sweeteners or your stabilizers to make the whipped cream into stabilized whipped cream. I would consider this soft peaks. You can pick it up now and it kind of just flops back over, but it does make a little bit of a motion in it. This is hard peaks, stiff peaks. When you pick it up, you can see the motion in it. Pick it up and it just sits there in its own form, and it doesn't fall over right away. But it's still fairly soft, and you can. This is like pipeable, basically. This is as pipeable as whipped cream ever gets, basically, unless you turn it into butter, of course. But that's not really our goal in general. Now, I did not keep going for very long at all. I am just now starting to get grains right there. See, that's the difference. As soon as you get to stiff peaks of whipped cream, then you need to stop. I can't see any there, but I'm definitely starting to see grains, chunks sticking together. So I'll keep going. Now this is really chunky, and you see that the water is separating as well. This is definitely overly beaten. So this is when you could tell you've really gone too far now. I'll show you what happens if you keep going. Now, I think mine has a little bit too much water in it, water content. I'm going to drain that off, but the rest of it is butter. Look at that. Look at how chunky that is. It's fairly buttery. It's missing some salt though. I'm going to drain this water out, and I'm going to whip it up just a tiny bit more. for all the world like I was creaming butter. So that's what happens when you overbeat cream, heavy whipping cream. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today, and I hope that it helps you to make the perfect whipping cream. See you again next time.